So class, we've been working on doing word problems in our math class, and I've noticed that some of you have been having a hard time figuring out what to use when you're doing a word problem and what not to use. And what I mean by use, I mean which numbers you're supposed to include in your problem and which numbers are extra information. You don't want to use that extra information because it'll give you the wrong answer. So today we're going to be learning a strategy called cubes. The cube strategy will help you figure out what to use and what not to use. And that way you can get the right answer every time. Our first, our first step in the cube strategy is the C for cubes. C means circle the key numbers. So this means if you have a word problem and it has numbers in it, any numbers you circle. But you only circle the numbers that are important to the information. And you know if it's important to the information by reading what the actual question is. So if the question says that you should, only pay attention to certain things, then you need to circle those numbers and ignore the other numbers. So the first step is circle the key numbers. The second step, which involves the question, is underline the question. So you're going to get your marker, your highlighter, or your pen or pencil, or whatever you want to use, and you're going to underline the question so that you can see what you're actually supposed to be solving for. And whenever you underline the question, you're going to be paying attention to those key numbers so that you know that whatever numbers you circled have to do with the question that you underline. The next step in cube, CUB, is box any math action words. Now this would be things like words like total or sum, or things that give you a hint to what kind of action you're going to be taking, what kind of steps that you're going to have to be using to solve this problem, whether it's addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. So when you box the math action words, that means you put a little square around it. The next step is the E, or evaluate. This means you're going to figure out what steps you're supposed to take. It ties into the box any math action words. You use those math action words to figure out what you're going to be doing. So if it says you need to find the product or you need to find the sum, then you need to figure out, okay, what am I going to do to get the product, or what am I going to do to get the sum? So if you're finding the sum, you know from your past experience and your prior knowledge that you're going to be adding. So you're going to remember that the steps that you need to take are adding the different numbers that are the key numbers. The last step for the cube strategy is solve and check. This is where you actually do the work. This is when you do the work and you check it and make sure that it's right. You don't want to just do the work and not make sure that it's right because, well, what if you happen to use the wrong numbers? So first we have circle the key numbers, where you put a little circle around the numbers that are important to the question. You underline the question. So you get your highlighter, marker, pen, or pencil, or whatever you need, and you circle that or underline that question so that you make sure that you have what you need you know what you need to do. You box any math action words so that you can see what strategy you're going to have to use and what process or type of equation you're going to have to use. You evaluate to figure out what steps you're going to have to take. So you use those boxed words to figure out what process you're going to be using, such as math or such as addition or subtraction. And then you solve and check. And the checking is probably the most important part because you want to make sure that you got the right answer.
Okay, today we're going to be using the cube strategy for our word problem. Our word problem is, a box of shirts has 20 large, 10 medium, and 15 small shirts. Each shirt costs $9. Which equation can be used to find how many large and small shirts are in the box? A. 35 minus 20. B. 20 plus 15. C. 20 plus 10 plus 15 plus 9. And D. 10 plus 15 plus 20. So what you can do to start off is write out cubes. And for our first step, we're not going to go in order. We're actually going to underline the question first to find our keywords. So, which equation can be used to find how many large and small shirts are in the box? we're gonna circle the key numbers. It's asking for large and small. Our key numbers are 20, because there's 20 large ones. And then the small, there's 15. Now, next step is box any math action words. So our action word would be and, as in plus. I'm gonna box and you can put the equation symbol next to it. So that's gonna be plus. So we're gonna write out the equation on what we think it can be. So 20 plus, which is our and, 15, then equals, and then that's what's in the box. So now we're gonna evaluate it. So we have our 20 large and our 15 small, and we're gonna write it out in our solve section. So we already have evaluate. So 20 large plus 15 would equal 35 shirts. Now we're gonna go and check our answers. So 35 plus 20. That is not how I see it on my line. So no. 20 plus 15. We just want to make sure, so we're going to go back to C. 20 plus 10 plus 15 plus 9. That's not right. And then 10 plus 15 plus 20. No. So B would be our answer.
So today we'll learn about the cubes method, which is circle key numbers, underline the question, box any math action words, evaluate, and solve and check. In our word problem, we actually didn't go in that order. We used the letter U first, which is underline the question. That way, we could find the circle key numbers. And you can box any math action words such as and, sum, total, or difference. After you box your action words, you evaluate. See what steps you need to take, such as maybe adding, subtracting. Our last step is solve and check. When you're solving and checking, make sure that you go back and you only use the key numbers that were asked for in the question. Such as, in our question, we were asked how many large and small shirts are there. So we go back and make sure we only use the large amount of shirts and the small, which are 20 and 15. Some of our other answer choices had other numbers that weren't really important to the problem. When you go back into the multiple choice, check to make sure you're looking at the ones with the correct sign. Sometimes they'll be the same numbers, but the sign will be mixed up. If the cube method works for you, make sure you use it on any word problem that you have difficulty with. Practice the cube strategy and you will succeed every single time.